Dr. Thomas C. Meredith. John B. Hicks, a trustee at the University of Alabama, best described Tom Meredith. He wrote, "Chancellor Tom Meredith is the epitome of a modern leader in American higher education." I echo that sentiment. The impact of Dr. Meredith's leadership in higher education spans 4 states: Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. You have got the South covered, my friend. If you ever move to Brooklyn, we're going to have both change our accents, I think. Dr. Meredith understood that access to a quality higher educational experience and economic development were intrinsically linked, a theme we pursue to this day in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He never flinched in the face of difficult and persistent problems in higher education, and he never hesitated to tackle those problems. He was always confident that practical solutions could be found and implemented. While president of WKU from 1988 to 1997, he increased academic standards and programs, created the Institute for Economic Development, and had the foresight to expand the information technology infrastructure of this university that today has become completely wireless. He left his mark on the campus in many ways. He oversaw construction of 2 residence halls, one of which bears his name. The very reason we're here today is due to Tom Meredith. It was he who implemented the Hall of Distinguished Alumni as well as the Athletic Hall of Fame in 1997, and tomorrow we induct 7 new members into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Dr. Meredith left WKU to become Chancellor of the University of Alabama system, and after that he became Chancellor of the University System of Georgia. And since July 2005, Dr. Meredith has served as the Commissioner of Higher Education for the Board of Trustees of State Institutions of Higher Learning in Mississippi. Today, he has returned to WKU to be inducted into the very hall that he helped form. Our next inductee, Dr. Thomas C. Meredith.
He is a quiet leader, a visionary, who's devoted his life to furthering the cause of education. Thomas Meredith has left his mark on systems in Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. A native of Owensboro, Kentucky, Meredith's early career was spent inside the classroom as teacher and coach. A master's degree in education from WKU in 1966 launched Meredith's foray into higher education administration. Eventually, his career brought him full circle back to WKU as its 8th president, forging a foundation for unprecedented growth.
He was a change agent. He was a visionary and a change agent. He not only created, along with hundreds of other professors and all, but the new strategic plan and the new vision, but he came up with energizing the university towards going there. And you can see the results that's happening today.
Meredith built the budget reserve to nearly $4 million, created the school's first strategic plan, revamped fundraising efforts, and expanded the information technology infrastructure. And while his physical contributions are apparent, perhaps more telling of his impact are the scores of lives he's touched along the way.
He loved interacting with students at Western Kentucky University, and he took an active role in helping students prepare for the future and to make sure that they were having a great college experience. You know, I mean, he had an office in Weatherby Administration Building, and he was the president of the university. He had to make big speeches, and he had to do Board of Regents meeting, but I mean, he was also right there with the students. If it was cheering at a football game or at a club meeting or whatever the case may be, Dr. and Mrs. Meredith were always there.
Once he'd laid the groundwork for growth at WKU, this dedicated family man headed to the University of Alabama in 1997 to serve as the system's chancellor.
Well, I just think Tom Meredith's a born leader. I think some people have that gift, fashioned through their experiences and their upbringing. He's just a born leader. You know, I've watched Tom Meredith at Western. I was with him in Alabama, and I followed his career in his other 2 high-profile positions. You know, his resume is as strong as anyone I know of in higher education. He's led some of the largest systems in the South and in the nation. And the thing I know about Tom Meredith is that he will always do the right thing. When he's presented with a dilemma and when there is personal consequence involved, he'll do what's right, regardless of what the impact might be on him personally. I've been a personal witness to that.
In 2002, Meredith took the reins as Chancellor of the University System of Georgia, responsible for that state's 34 public colleges and universities. Since '05, he's leading the charge of higher education in Mississippi as Commissioner of Higher Education for the Board of Trustees. Friend and colleague Dr. Robert Kayat cherishes a visual image of Dr. Meredith.
But my favorite image of Tom is Saturday morning in Bermuda shorts and tennis shoes and usually a t-shirt with the top down on a yellow Volkswagen convertible, which must be 40 years old, I don't know how old it is, riding around looking like Jimmy Stewart, just kind of floating around town, you know, just, that's the way I remember him. If you ask me to give you a mental picture, that's it. It's either, Tom is either in a chair flipping papers or he's riding around that Volkswagen, and there was always kind of a lift to see that apparent freedom and relaxation and being at peace with the world.
And perhaps it is the contentment of knowing that through his educational journey, he's made a difference.
You know, education's the pathway. It's the way out. It's the way to a better life, to a happier life, to a healthier life, a more economically satisfying life. All those things that come with being an educated person. And James Conant Bryant said that a liberal education frees a man from his prison house of race and time and politics and family and even your location. All of those things, you're freed from any boundaries you may have when you become educated. It is the answer.
2007 Hall of Distinguished Alumni inductee, Dr. Thomas Meredith.
Gary, I want to personally thank you for what you're doing for my alma mater. You know, I couldn't be any more proud of what's happening at this university under the leadership of Gary Ransdell than I am right at this moment. You and Julie were exactly the right people for this place, and thank you. Thank Donald Smith for your leadership, the Alumni Association. Donald was a spirit master when I was here, and it's exciting to see Donald now following in the footsteps of his grandfather, my dear friend Dero Downing. My thanks also goes to the Alumni Board for selecting me for this induction. It's an honor that goes beyond words, and I want to thank you for that, particularly to be inducted with Bob and Kenny. Thank you. I want to thank also those that were in the video. I had no idea what they would say, and seeing that group, I was holding my breath throughout that entire video. But I want to thank Earl and Sally Fisher for their support over the years and their great kindness. They're wonderful people. And Chuck Anderson, who is a visionary and a leader in his own right, and had to work with me 2 different times. And Chuck, I appreciate you more than I can tell you. And Robert Kayat at Ole Miss and I have been friends since back in the 60s, and he's a great leader as well. And Jean Marie Weiss, who is probably the epitome of the Western student. We enjoyed a relationship that goes back an awful long time. I think started when she was in the 7th grade. When I was selected as president of Western Kentucky University, I must admit to you I was a little nervous about taking a job where 3 former presidents were on campus and an interim president was here as well. That's a little daunting. But those concerns were quickly set aside when those 4 gentlemen, Kelly Thompson, Dero Downing, John Minton, and Paul Cook, could not have been more supportive than they were during the entire time. They were true gentlemen, and I'm deeply appreciative of it even to this day. You know, I grew up in the west end of Owensboro, Kentucky, and I grew up in a home where no one had ever gone to college, but I had 2 parents who had but one goal, it seemed to be, in life, and that was to make sure that I became educated, even though they had not had that opportunity. Now, there was no alternative. They made it happen, and as you heard me say in the video, that is the answer for everyone as far as I'm concerned. Through their encouragement and the encouragement of so many caring teachers and professors, and some of the very best were right here at Western Kentucky University, I was able to get an education. And since then, I've been blessed with the opportunity to play a role and to help in some way with countless numbers of students to help them identify their dreams. And that's what we do in higher education, is help students identify and discover their dreams and then help them fulfill those dreams. And I've been blessed to be a part of that. I'm in my 44th year of fulfilling my dream of being in the field of education and being able to work with students. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with extraordinary faculty, incredible staff, students who in adulthood have become our friends, and fabulous alumni who care so much about this place. Western is and always has been really very, very special. Between Big Red on ESPN and the growing reputation of this institution, the nation is taking notice of Western Kentucky. There are so many who played such a huge role during our time and our lives while we were here. There are too many to name. Let me just take a chance and name just a handful. Earl and Sally Fisher, I've already mentioned, great friends for so long. Liz Esters, who over 25 years has served countless numbers of board members and mentored, I believe, every president since Dr. Cherry. Have you been back that far? Maybe that's a little long, Liz, but maybe Dr. Cherry too, I'm not sure. But she certainly mentored me. To Lana Flynn, who was the best, to Cindy and Debbie, who kept our office first class all the time. To Charlie English, who's such a dear friend and advisor for so long. And Ree Heater, who literally became a part of our family. I want to thank all of you and so many others who helped make all this possible, especially the students, the joy of our lives, wherever we've been. And finally, let me tell you that I've been blessed in so many ways that it's overwhelming to even think about the many blessings we've had in our life. Two of the richest blessings are our two sons, who had to be president's sons as they entered their teenage years. There's nothing much worse than that. And I'm more proud than I can express of Dr. Mark Meredith in Nashville and Matt Meredith in Dallas. Thank you, gentlemen, for being great sons. But the greatest blessing the good Lord has bestowed upon me is my best friend, the mother of our two sons, and my wife and partner for almost 36 years now, Susan. So Susan, thank you, my dear. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for this great honor and for the privilege of having the opportunity to serve this wonderful university. Go Tops!